Place your bets with TwinSpire's handicapping insights.
Defending Stanley Cup champions are in a bit of a predicament right now. They are down 3-2 to the Dallas Stars, and I'm seriously wondering about their ability to beat Jake Oettinger twice in a row. And you know what? This is on Vegas. This team has looked terrifying at times, but in my opinion, have played themselves out of the first round. And people are going to say, Eck, you're a Vegas hater. I'm not. I love good villains, and the Vegas Golden Knights are a good villain. And to me, the issue here started last game, specifically the second period. I really felt like Vegas had the opportunity to put their boot on the Stars' neck. Instead, they had a bad, undisciplined period, which may have cost them their season. And I'll get to tonight's game, but this is important, I think. So let's jump to the second period of last game. Jack Eichel has Vegas up 2-1. They've been playing very well, shooting Dallas about 19-13. The Knights are maybe a goal and a good period away from putting this series in a very bad place for Dallas. What happens? Petro, away from the play, just takes a stupid penalty, and this may have been the turning point for the series, because this whole period would change in complexion. Dallas would score on the subsequent power play. Vegas would take another penalty soon after. Dallas, lots of sustained offense. They'd almost score again. Over this time, they'd turn the game around, gain momentum, put a ton of shots on net, and they'd end up winning off a Ty Dellandrea goal. It wasn't even a ton of penalties last game, it was when they were taken. That second penalty even removed one of Vegas's better rushes. Similar thing tonight. Undisciplined play when the game is arguably at its most important point ends up costing not just goals, but momentum. First of all, I thought this tripping penalty kind of whatever, but I mean, that would be one power play goal. Matt Duchene would put the Stars up 1. Carrier would make up for it by tying the game. However, much more egregiously in terms of penalties in the second, Petro again would take one of the dumbest, most selfish penalties imaginable away from the play. Doesn't help his team. He wants to smack a guy, so he gets a minor. Maybe could have been worse. But on the power play, Jason Robertson would score the game-winning goal, with Petro once again watching from the box. And it's not just goals in these games, it's momentum shifts. It's how close Vegas was in game 4 to stomping Dallas out essentially, and now they're down. I saw a stat during the game that 79% of teams or so which win game 5 in a 2-2 series end up winning. So Vegas has their work cut out for them, especially against Jake Oettinger. We'll see what happens.
We want it all. We want beards and lattes.
Great.
4 elimination games last night. 2 teams survived, while 2 got axed from Lord Stanley's Battle Royale. So let's talk about one of those 2 teams sent home, as the Winnipeg Jets are now officially eliminated from Cup contention. This, to me, is one of the biggest disappointments of the entire NHL season. After an incredibly impressive regular season where the Winnipeg Jets put up league-leading defensive numbers, they went out and let in 28 goals over 5 games. Over 5 goals a game. This was a total collapse for any team, but especially a team which had Connor Hellebuyck and let in the least amount of goals against all year. Hellebuyck, who was just nominated for a Vezina and may win it with one of his best seasons of all time, couldn't stop a damn thing. And again, not entirely his fault, as the defense around him just fell apart and didn't make adjustment to the Avs overall. I saw a really interesting stat today. Of the 28 goals scored against the Jets, 10 were from screens set by Jet players. Just not enough help. And in the offense, Sean Monahan disappeared. Big old goose egg in the goal column for him through 5 games. Tyler Toffoli potted in 2, as he just continues to be a baller generally, scoring goals. But this was supposed to be a season where the Jets showed us that they were past their old problems and could lock in for a cup run. That turned out to be very false. But what do you think? Was this just another embarrassment for the Jets, or are we going to look back in 2 months and see an Avalanche team which just could not be stopped? I will say, Makar, McKinnon, even Georgiev, they all looked locked in after game 1, McKinnon especially. But what impressed me the most is the depth of the Avalanche scoring. Don't get me wrong, McKinnon has played well. He has got 9 points in 5 games, but he still has another level. I know he does. But Nichushkin and Lehkonen on the Avalanche, they scored in every single game of this series, so this is a team with a lot of depth. Anyway, let me know what you thought of the elimination, of course, down below.
Man, how ironic is it that one of the Jets' last games of the season was a 7-0 drubbing of the Avs in Denver, which played a huge part in locking in a first-round series between these two teams. Fast forward about 2.5 weeks later, and the Jets are knocked out by them in 5 games. On home ice in front of the whiteout, no less. Make no mistake about it though, this team put up a fight. They didn't lay down like last year against Vegas. They battled hard, and for a while there it looked like we might actually be going back to Denver for Game 6. But no matter how they lost it, this one really stings for Jets fans. I mean, back-to-back 5-game first-round exits for this team. And this one, maybe it wasn't as lifeless of a loss as last year, but I'd argue this one was far more brutal than last year. The most brutal thing would have been if that Neil Pionk own goal held up as the game winner for the Avs, so he's pretty lucky that Tyler Toffoli sniped one to tie the game at 3. Did I hear some people booing Pionk when he touched the puck after that own goal? Jets fans who were in the building for that one, let me know, but either way, I'm glad it didn't end like that at least. Nope, instead the Avs scored 2 heartbreaking goals on Hellebuck, allowing the Jets to make NHL history as the first team ever to allow 5+ goals in each of their first 5 games to begin a postseason. Think about that for a second, like that's never happened before, even in the 80s when goalies looked like this. I understand a lot of those goals aren't Hellebuck's fault and you can't pin the entire series on him, but when you have a superstar goaltender that you just give a bunch of money to stay with you long term, you expect him to be an X factor, and even if he isn't, you at least expect him not to do this. And on top of that, this team made so many positive changes coming out of last year and even at this year's trade deadline. We mentioned re-signing Hellebuck, they also re-signed Scheifele. They managed to get rid of Pierre-Luc Dubois and bring in Gabe Vilardi and Alex Iafallo instead, a great move. They also bolstered their forward group at the trade deadline by bringing in Sean Monahan and Tyler Toffoli, 2 more really good moves. This should have worked, or at the very least it should have gone more than 5, especially after that 7-0 game and even game 1 in this series. For it to turn so hard so quickly and leave Jets fans just completely stunned like this, that's one of the more painful ways you can get booted from the playoffs. To be honest with you, I'm still kind of shocked about it. I mean, look, Colorado winning this series is not shocking, but the way it happened definitely is. I'll be honest, I am disappointed just from a pure entertainment standpoint. This is one of the series I was really looking forward to going the distance, like 6 or 7 games, especially after that barn burner of a first game. But I couldn't stop thinking about this, and it's the big question I have for Jets fans right now, because at the end of last year, it was kind of clear what you needed to do. You needed a clear answer about the futures of Scheifele and Hellebuck. You needed to see what you could get in return from Pierre-Luc Dubois in a trade, and you probably knew you were moving on from Blake Wheeler. This year, though, what do you do? I mean, I don't think you're going to blow it up, are you? Seems to me your core of Scheifele, Connor, Josh Morrissey, Connor Hellebuck, even Adam Lowry, that's pretty set, so you're going to be making moves around that. So what do you do about this team heading into next year? Is this a Tampa Bay Lightning in 2019 getting swept by Columbus before winning the Cup the next year? Because I mean, this team took a big step in the regular season. They finished 4th overall in the entire NHL. Or do you see a team who's smoke and mirrors, who just got kicked out in 5 games for the 2nd year in a row, and is kidding themselves if they think they can compete and significant changes need to be made? Let me know in the comments. Also, what did you think of this series as a whole? Man, I wish it would have went longer. It had so much potential, but hey, Colorado-Vegas rematch or even Colorado-Dallas sounds pretty good. Please consider subscribing if you're new, hitting that like button as well. I'll see you in the next one. You're awesome.
So I thought this girl was working out like crazy, but she wasn't. I met her yesterday at the gym, and I asked her, "How do you look so great?"
Dang girl, you have such a nice body. I feel like I'm here all the time and I'm not seeing any results. Do you have any tips?
Let me tell you what took my results to the next level.
This is what 5 pounds of fat looks like. If we want to lose this or more, check this out.
Thinking about starting
Yesterday was a massive do-or-die playoff game for the New York Islanders in their series against Carolina. They battled, but this Carolina Hurricanes team was just simply too much for them. They were overmatched. Yes, there were some heartbreakingly ugly or even unlucky goals if you're an Islanders fan, but one in particular I could not believe that this guy did this in a playoff game. An elimination game, no less. Like, honestly, I kind of still can't believe he did that in that setting, but knowing the player, I shouldn't be all that surprised that he did this. Throughout his time in the NHL, Evgeny Kuznetsov has a few signature things that he's become known for. The two biggest being the bird celebration and the Kuzi crawl. The bird one is obvious. The Hurricanes even did a storm surge to it earlier this year. For the Kuzi crawl, though, it's when he's in a shootout or on a penalty shot. He does not quite the controller disconnected that Matt Zuccarello used to do back in the day, because he's still kind of stick handling. He goes unbelievably slow. Like, he picks the puck up here, and to get here, it takes him an entire 9 seconds. If I'm the goalie, I would hate this, but there's not really much you can do about it. As long as he's making forward progress, it's legal. And it's like, what are they going to do here? I mean, do you set a minimum speed limit for guys in a shootout or penalty shot? No chance that's happening. I'll tell you what though, a lot of people hate this move, even when it's done in the regular season. I've seen it be called embarrassing. Oh, this move's a joke. I've even seen people say this is exactly why we need to get rid of the shootout. Anytime he does this, a ton of hate comes with it. So again, for him to choose an elimination playoff game to do this, and for it to actually work, and by the way, the place went nuts. That was a pretty huge goal for the Hurricanes. Say what you want about him, say what you want about the move, that takes some serious balls. He started skating up with some pace, and I was like, it's a playoff game. He's not going to do it. He's going to do something more conventional to try to score. The stakes are too high. It's the playoffs. Then when he did that infamous slow up, that's when I was like, oh boy, here we go. And the wildest part to me is, after all those slow stick handles, he still makes Varlamov miss with the poke check. This one ended 6-3 Hurricanes. They'll move on to face the Rangers in round 2. That's going to be such a good series. I'd say these are two evenly matched teams who both got teams that they were overmatched for in round 1. I could see this one going to 7 and easily becoming my favorite series so far. Who do you think's going to win it? And let me know your thoughts on the Kuzi crawl in the comments down below. I could be wrong about this, but I feel like a lot of people are softening on it. Like, it doesn't get as much hate as it used to. But I also know there's quite a few people who still do not like this move at all. If you want me to cover the Rangers Hurricane series in depth, make sure you like this video and subscribe if you're new. I'll see you